Yes, it's recorded. Okay. So these were the masters which we had before, like role schemes, sec roles, scheme types, schemes. So we shall proceed with this master data. Is it fine, Ajinkya?
Okay, okay.
So just for training purpose. Then later we can have a brief discussion on what all master. Then I can understand from your BA. So based on that, we will for original solution we will create on your instance
ठीक है.
the solution based on your masters and transaction data. Okay.
Okay, okay.
ठीक है. Okay. I'll be logging in to my demo setup. So very basic step is we have to. I think there is some disturbance from. The very basic step is we have to create one solution, or we call it as an app for it. For example, they can have multiple apps. When we compare the banking system, they can have HR module, or they can have finance module, they can have loans module, like that. We will have one solution for one on modules. So we call it as an app as well. So that is a very basic step. First, we will create with the app or the solution. For that, here we have tile called app screen. There is already one app called training which I have used at 2 days back. I showed you one dashboard with of candidate training. So I had created one solution for it. So now I'll create a new app or solution for Miles training purpose. Okay. I'll be creating a new create app. I'll be giving the name as the description. So if we have any image, we can upload it. Then we'll go to the category. If something which is like customer support or marketing or operations, we will select operations. Then industry, let's say education, banking, or anything like this, which is relevant, or it's not a mandatory. We can keep it blank. I'll just select something like marketing or banking. Okay, I'll select the marketing. Marketing. I'll select banking. Then features. What is the feature of this module? We can tell in the training it is for the breach module or whatever. This is the feature of the app which can identify the breaches or whatever. So we can enter the features here. Feature of that particular app. In case if it is an HR module, you can tell it will briefly give the HR details of the organization. Then if you have some questions, like in case if you forget the password like that, they'll be having some basic question or answer for it. Okay. Then at last we will save this app. This is a very basic step of creating a solution or app. So we have created. So we can edit it or we can delete this app in case if we don't need. Okay. So everything under app will be get deleted if we delete this app. Think that we have created all the analytic dashboard, everything in this app. In case if you don't need this app, you can delete it. But it will be just soft deleted. It cannot be hard deleted. So in the backend in the database, its flag will be N.
Okay.
So we can go back and we can reactivate it. In case if we need it, we can activate it back by updating the flag over there. Everything can be soft deleted. It cannot be hard deleted. Okay. So now I have created
This
an
this app what you are creating, is this app mapped to a user?
yes,
It is mapped to a user. Okay.
yes.
And
So on that day when I created a user for you, there I have selected the training app. So now I can go and give you the another app access also, Mind Software Training. If I create another app, I can give that app also.
okay.
So it
So
all
what
depends on which user want which app or which module or which dashboard to
okay.
get the access.
What happens? What is the impact of assigning an app to a user?
See, everything will be under this app. If you create an Anomart, it will be under this app. If you create a measure, dimension, or report, it will be under this app. If you create a
Okay.
dashboard, it will be under this app.
Okay. 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 Got it. So if you are
So
mapping,
this is the basic. This is the basic thing. App creation is the basic thing. Then inside that, you will be creating all those master tables, nanomart, measure, dimension, analytics, and the dashboard, user creation, everything.
so this app, what I can understand is like a role to an user. So all the details, all the screens, all the reports, all
Exactly.
are
Yes.
mapped to
Whatever
this
this
app, or
app. Yes.
and
Yes. This
this
is
app is
the
then mapped to the user. So when that particular user logs in, he can only view specific to the roles assigned to that app.
to that app. Exactly. We can give multiple apps also. We can give multiple
ठीक है समझा.
access. Okay.
Okay.
So let's go back. So whenever we create an app, by default, if you go to the NanoMart screen, by default, master mart will be created. So what is a mart? Basically, mart is a group of tables, or mart can have a single table. Mart is basically a group of tables. So whenever we create an app, automatically by default, master mart will be created. So all the dimension table, master table should be, all the dimension and master table should be created in the master app. So if you see here, by default, master mart is created with the app name as a prefix and underscore master. So you will be having type is equal to mm, which is the master mart. By default, it will be created whenever we create a solution or app. So if we go inside this app, we can see by default one table has got created, which is NB dating. This NB dating is a default table which has been created in the master mart, which is used for trends. Like on that day, we know they explain you if you want to compare anything with the last year for the same date, if you want to compare anything with last month of same date, if you want to see any trend analytics, what is my business for last 1 year based on month, based on year, or based on fiscal year, based on quarter.
Okay. But
For that analytics purpose, by default, NB dating will be created. And I will tell you how to link this NB dating to the mart and how to use this. Yes, Ajinkya, go ahead.
yeah, so last in the last training you mentioned the hierarchy, like you create an app, then you create a nanomart, and then you create a master mart. So in this today,
Master tables,
but today you are showing first app creation and directly then creation of master mart. So at what level you map a nanomart then?
See, after creating the master tables, then we'll create another mart. This is just like one of the mart. We can have many marts. This is just one master mart. So app can have, it is the, I mean, it is a very important thing, or uh, we have
So
one hierarchy, like we'll be having only one master mart, which can be linked to which will have the master tables in it. Using those master tables, we can create a star schema on that. It may not show you some star kind of structure, right? On center, it will have the fact table and surrounded by the master tables. So this is
uh,
just a master mart.
okay, so first you are creating an app, then you are creating a master mart, and then you
Master
will
mart is
create.
already created. Master mart by default it will be created whenever we create a solution app. Master mart is already created. I didn't create any mart here. It is
Okay,
automatically created, and this table embedded is also automatically created by default. It got created.
okay, okay, fine. So, and there will be only one master mart.
Yes, exactly. There will be only one mart. This is the important thumb rule which we are
Okay,
using.
and in this master mart, what basically are you doing? You are fetching all the tables here.
Exactly. I am creating all the master tables here. I'll be going to create all the master tables which I showed you here, right? I'll be creating all these master tables in the master mart, and these tables which are required to link with the fact table with your transactional data, schemes, breach rules, breach status, everything.
Okay, so tomorrow, if there is a new module or new report that I have to create, and
Like a new
then
master, if you like a new
yes,
master,
yes.
yes, we can update it. We can
So
update it.
if there is a new development done in a fundware, okay,
Okay,
which is not existing, okay,
okay,
after 6 months example. So what I
okay.
have, and for that I need to generate some report. So what I will have to do is first I will have to come to this screen, add that table details here,
Exactly, exactly.
and then move to nanomart, and then move to creation of those reports or dashboards.
Yes.
Okay.
For example, think that company is the new master which you have got. Okay. What we have, and we have to do some reports on the company basis. Then what we will do, we will create a company master in this master mart. Then we will go and link that company master to the transactional table. Then we'll create the dimension on the companies like company name, company geography, whatever the details of company. Then we can create the analytic. So we can go and drop the table if it is not required. We can go and drop the table. We can go and create the new table in this master table. But this we cannot drop this in since it's a default table.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I'll just show you what all the data will be available in this NVDADM. Okay. So this is the data we'll be having in NVDADM table, like day date. So day date will be our primary key, which is a unique, which will be the unique column. Day date, day of a week, day of a month, day of a year, day name, week of the year, month of the year, quarter of the year, month name, weekend flag, holiday flag, week start date, weekend date, month year, fiscal month name, quarter start date.
So this is like a seed data, yes?
So, sorry,
So this is like a seed data for this system. Seed data,
I didn't get your audio. See data.
मतलब ये like when you install an application,
Exact. This is our, as I told you, this is the NB dating is the default table, and this will be the default records. So now it is starting from 2015. But in your system, there is some information which is beyond 2015. Okay. At that time, I need to load the data from NanoBI. I will tell you in the next section that how to load the data to this NVDB. Think that there are some transactions which are from 1995 or whatever, from 2000. Then we have to load the data. It's not about loading the data, just we have to select some option and just we have to submit. Then automatically data will be loaded to our NB table by default from our NanoBI backend. Is it fine? So this will be the data in NB. So now what I will do, I will go and create all those master tables in this master mart. For that, what I will do, we need to have a SQL file for that. So it should be .sql. So I will go and update this master mart, update my structure. Yes. Then find
Kiran,
SQL.
there is hello, Kiran. There is a network issue at your end. We cannot hear you well.
Wait. Is it better now?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Keep. So we'll be updating this master mart by creating all those master tables. So the file name is dimensionscripts.sql. So this is how we'll create the tables. I mean, people who know the basics of SQL, they will understand and they will write. We are creating the table. We are giving all those columns or the required fields, and they are giving what are the data, whether it's a date, whether it's an integer, whether it's a date.
Hello.
Again, cannot hear you.
Array. One. Shipra, is it better now?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's fine now.
But you can see my screen, right? There's no problem with the screen sharing. Only with the,
Yeah, with the
I mean,
audio.
what? Only with the audio. Okay. Fine. Is it better now?
Fine.
Okay. So I'll be updating this nanomart, this master mart. I'll be selecting edit nanomart structure, and the method will be file. So my file name is dimension scripts. As I was telling you, these are my fields. This is my table name, and these are my what are the field type, whether it's a varchar, whether it's a string, whether it's an integer, whether it's a numeric, or whether it's a date, whatever. And we'll be having for creating, as you, I mean, for a master mart, I mean, for a master table, for a dimension table, there should be one unique column, right? Similar like this, we have breach reason ID as a primary key in breach reason table, and in breach severity ID as a primary unique key column. In the breach status ID. In breach type ID as a primary key, I mean unique key. So these keys will be linked to the transactional data to create a star schema, to create a nanomart, that is the fact mart, based on which we'll be creating the reports. Like this fund outs, we'll be having fund outs ID as a unique column. Like this, we have schemes. Users ID will be the unique in the user table. scheme role scheme ID will be the unique in the role scheme table. So we'll be uploading these many tables in your master mart. So I'll be uploading this file. Upload. I'll be selecting dimension scripts. This is my .sql file. I'll be selecting it and I'll be saving. So all those master tables got created. If you can see here, it is highlighted. Some columns in the tables are highlighted with the red font. Those are nothing but the unique column, primary key column, unique, which will have the unique values: CIP ID, reason ID, parameter ID. So in case if you want to download the scripts, in case if I want to see what all columns are there, what are the data types which I want to see, what you can do on that day Vinod showed you. If you go to the NanoMart attributes, here we'll have an option like download Mart script. Okay. So if you go and download the Mart script here, it will be downloaded like this with some name. So I'll be opening it. I'll be just showing you.
This is what you are creating a NanoBot now.
No, already master mart is created. I'm just creating the master table, dimension table. I will create the mart now, NanoMart, which is a fact mart. We'll call it as a fact NanoMart. See, all our marts, like as I told you, mart can have one table, mart can have multiple tables, and you can have so many nanomarts. But it depends on the fact mart on which you need to create the report. So I'm just showing you this. See, this is the file which I have downloaded. These are my structure of those master tables. So now my master tables have got created in my master mart. Now I'll go and create my fact mart, which is a NanoMart, which is a very important thing, which is the heart of the heart of the application. Okay, for that I already have a fact structure for this, which was used before. I'll just show you this fact script. So if you see here, there was already, I think some 1 year back, this was created for a demo purpose. So I'll just use this as a reference. Okay, they have created something called TRN portfolio breaches, which will have portfolio breach ID and user breach ID and complaints validation ID, group level ID, entity level ID, scheme ID, breach type ID, and portfolio scheme ID valuation date, holding quantity, breach market value, comparison value, breach base value. See, if you see, these are the numeric fields and these are the integer fields. And portfolio breach created on, portfolio modified by. So like this, they have already created one NanoMart structure, which is a fact structure. So this will have our transaction data, which Shipra was talking about. This is our transaction data. It will be loaded on daily basis. It depends on the frequency. Depends on if you want to load it on a daily basis, we'll fetch the data on the daily basis. If it's on weekly, or it will be on weekly basis. Usually for every other clients, we'll be doing this. We'll be pulling the transaction data on daily basis, and we'll be showing the reports on daily basis.
Is this the same database which is, I mean, the columns that we see have they been uploaded from Fundware, as in?
I think this they had one demo session some 1 or 2 years back. I really don't remember about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They had created these structures based on their understanding and discussion with the people, with your team.
Okay.
They had created these structures. So I'm just using that as a reference for the training purpose. Going forward, we will create our own masters based on the transaction and the transactional tables by the understanding and by the report requirements. So I'll just use this mart which was created, and I'm linking all my master tables. If you can see here, I'm giving the constraint but by linking the master tables. So I'm linking the fund house, SCH fund house table, breach reasons, breach severities, breach status, breach types, breach rule parameters, and sub scheme names. I'm sorry, SCH schemes. Okay. Now I'll be creating a mart with this structure. Again, it should be a .SQL file. Here I'm creating a transactional table. Along with it, I'm linking master tables. I'm linking these master tables to this transactional table. So SCH fund house is linking with fund house ID in the transactional table. Breach reason ID is linking with the breach reason ID in my transactional table. Breach severities is linking with breach severity ID in my transaction table. Breach types is linking with breach type in my transaction table. Rule parameters is linking with portfolio validation rule ID in my transaction table. And schemes, I'm linking scheme ID with my transaction table. So these are the linkages. So now I will just create a nanomart. I mean fact nanomart. So all the measures and the reports will be created on this table structure, this mart structure. Okay. Now I'll create this table with a fact mart. We call it as an. So now we'll be creating a new nanomart. Here, if this is the nanomart screen, here we'll get a list of apps. Right now for Mile Software, we have only one app, right? One module, one solution. You can see training, which I've used long back for some training purpose. So in case if we have a separate other apps, we'll get all the list of apps here. Okay, we can choose. So I'll be choosing Mile Software Training, and I'll be creating a new nanomart. So I'll create new. I'll give the name. I'll give like breach fact mart, and I'll give some description. Or it is not mandatory. You can give. Then I'll be uploading the SQL file. Upload fact script. So this is the file name is factscript.sql. So now my breach fact mart has been created. We'll just look into it. Edit. So if you can see here, star schema has been created. Fact mart has been created. This is my fact mart. Okay, which is linked with all other dimension tables, which I showed you. Fund houses, breach types, breach reasons, breach parameters, breach status, SCH schemes, and breach severities. Okay. So this is our heart of that reports or dashboard. So now we'll be creating all the measures on this transactional table, and we'll be creating the dimensions, which are breach status, fund houses, breach type, breach reasons. We'll be creating the dimension on this master tables. Any doubts? Or
See, this is what you are creating a nanomart from.
yeah, exactly. This is a nanomart which has a star schema in it, which have linked all the master tables to it.
But for different aspects, I have to create a different nanomart. So
Exactly. So
why
exactly.
all master tables are okay? So you are creating one nanomart for master table, one nanomart for transaction tables, and one
Yes, in
nanomart
case if
for.
you have other transactional data,
Hmm.
okay, then I can go and create another mart.
So
For
right
that,
now in our master table we have only master data. So that is why you have pulled everything. So if I have transaction data, I have to add that details in my master mart. Then you will create a new nanomart and then you will add the transactionals
yes,
table
table.
here.
Yes, 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 yes. Right now, since it was created long back, so I took this as a reference.
Okay.
So,
So
so
yes,
sorry.
go
So in
ahead.
the nano, in the primary mart, the master mart, we are just
Mhm.
putting in the primary keys, right?
Yes, yes.
And the related primary key is in
Are
every
linked, are
link.
linked here.
Okay.
See, if you see here,
Hmm.
breach types, in
Hmm.
breach types master table, breach ID was a primary key. And that breach ID type, if you see these linkages, if you click on this, it will show you to which column of the transaction table it has been linked. So transaction portfolio breaches table में breach type ID, it has been linked with breach type ID from MST breach types. Like this, will get
Okay.
which column has been linked. If there is a company, okay, we'll be
Mhm.
having company master table. Company ID will be linked with the company ID in the transaction table. Then, if in case if in future we want to add company as a master and we need to have some reports on the company, then we'll be adding
Hmm.
company ID in this table.
ID. Hmm.
We'll be adding company ID in the transaction table, and we'll be creating company master in my master map. Then I'll be linking.
Got it. Nice.
In case of new requirement, we can update it n number of times, and in case if you don't need, we can delete it. See, right now I have not taken all the dimensions. It depends. For example,
Hmm.
you need only some 10 reports. So by analyzing that the requirements of the 10 reports, I will create my nanomark. So think that your transactional data has some 100 fields. I don't require all 100 fields. I mean, but out of 100 fields, you want some 10 reports. Only some 10, 15 columns might constitute to that 10 analytics or 10 reports.
Hmm.
So I need not to include all, and again, it will be on the performance issue. I need not to include all those additional 80 or 75 columns in my transactional
Okay.
table, which is not required. And all the master maps, and again, in the for the 10 reports, just think that only some 2 to 3 master's dimensions are required. Only think that all 10 reports are based on company. So need not to give these linkages, master linkages to this transaction. Just one company ID will be enough. Just one company master table
Got it.
should be linked with the transaction. But we'll be having all those 100 columns in our staging data. So what we will do first, what we will do, think that you have a table, you have a transaction table in your source with 100 columns. First, what we will do, we will pull all those 100 columns. We might not know in future we'll get other requirements which requires other 20 or 30 columns, right? So what we
Hmm.
will do, we'll be pulling all those 100 columns in a staging area. Again, I'll be creating another mart for it to pull out that data. Think that, okay, I'll just show you. So this is my fact mart. I'll be creating another mart for staging tables. Staging table means it's an exact replication of your transactional tables from the source, which you provide us. So we'll, in case it has some 5 or 6 staging tables, or you call it as a transaction tables, I'll pull out all 5, 6 tables. If you have the report requirements of all from 5, 6 tables, I'll pull out all those 5, 6 tables like as it is with all those columns. Okay. Then you need some 10 analytics or 10 reports. Based on that, I will create my fact mart like this. If there are 100 columns in your transaction database, but if you require only some 10 to 15 reports, which will be constituted only from 15 to 20 columns, means I'll just create like 15 to 20 columns like this in my fact mart. I will not create all those 100 columns here. Any doubts? Ajinkya?
ठीक है, thanks.
Got it, right? So we'll be exactly replicating the source. Whatever the data you have, we'll be exactly replicating, we'll be exactly pulling. And based on your requirements, based on the client requirements, we will be creating our master mart. So if you can see here, I have not included all the master tables here. I've included only some one, two,
Okay,
three, six.
tomorrow, yeah,
Tomorrow, yes. Yes,
tomorrow if
tomorrow.
I want to add, I will just have,
Yes, you
if
just
it is there,
come and
I'll
give
just come here and add another
link.
table from the master
Exactly,
mart.
exactly.
And
Since
I
you,
can,
hmm,
this columns also, once
hmm.
I add, all the columns are getting effective here, or I can edit the columns also, because if
See,
I need only five.
I'll show you. I'll show you one thing. Okay. So I'll go to the master mart. Sure. So okay, we will consider breach reasons. Okay, these are my already. These are the columns which I've already have in breach reasons. Think that tomorrow you want to add few more columns in the breach reasons. I can go and add. I can go and add here. Okay, I'll just add. I'll just add in front of you only. Okay. Think that I'll just add some. So I'll be adding some additional column to my master table, alter table, HD, reason. I need some column name, so I'll be adding there. Okay, I'll just add breach reason by some column called breach reason by. And I'll give the column type. I'll give the varchar some 500. Depends on the. So right now we don't have breach reason by. I'll be going and updating this table. My SQL file name is working.sql. I'll go and update the mart structure. Update, edit nanomart structure, upload the SQL file. So I'm selecting working.sql, for which I'm adding the column to the table, breach reasons. Okay, I'll be saving it. NanoMart updated successfully. So if you go here, you can see breach reason. So in future, if you want to add something, or if you want to delete something in your master tables, or if you want to drop entire master table, you can go and do it. Now we have added breach reason by to this master table. Now automatically it will be reflected in our fact mart as well. If you see us here, breach reason by got added. As I told you, now I got an additional requirement. I want to include some columns, or I want to include some parameter or some metric to this transaction database. So I want to add it. So I'll be going and updating this column. I'll be going and adding another column to my transactional table. Can you tell me any metric, Shipra?
So this is for the transactional table.
Transaction, yes, transaction table. Any metric?
Maybe breach days.
Breach days, okay. We'll be adding breach days. So days will be in integer format. So we don't have breach date here. I'll breach this here. I'll go and update. Edit NanoMart structure. Upload the SQL file. Working.sql is my SQL file. Save. NanoMart update is successfully. If I refresh my NanoMart and if I go and check here, check in the transaction table, you can see breach days, which is a int. So if you move the over cursor on that particular column, you'll get what kind of data type it is. It's an int, tiny hint, it's a small hint, or it's an integer, it's a varchar 100, like this. Okay, so if you click on the linkages, you'll get to know which column of the master is linked with the transactional table. Okay, now our NanoMart is
I
ready.
have a question. I have a
Yes,
question. When we are writing that whether it is an int type or it is a small int or a big int. Now
yes,
these are already predefined in Fundware as well. For every field, uh,
yes. I have
the
some files. Shikha, 1 minute. I got some files from table columns.
so my point was, will it be contradictory if you add, supposing you write int 10 and in Fundware it's already integer?
Exactly. For example, think that your source has some breach reason, which is of varchar 2000. So it will
Right.
store some 2000 length of varchar 2000. Okay, but in my NanoBI, if I give breach reason as varchar 500, automatically data loading will be failed. So
Okay.
that's the reason we should have exact structure or at least column type. I mean, data type should be same. There you'll be having think that there is some field which is a varchar or string in your source. What if I give date here, date as a data type? Obviously, it will fail. Date data type will
Right.
not take varchar.
Right.
Okay, so like that column. I mean, data type and data size should be same.
Oh,
So I have these many tables shared by
mm,
Vinod. As I told you, before creating the master tables and transaction tables, we will get the list of the tables from the client. We'll get the list of the tables, what exactly their data types. I can see KPI requirements. See here, we already got some tables and they've already mentioned. It's a dimension table, it's a fact table. I mean, dimension tables, breach types, status, department, status, severities, reasons. Table column. Yes, like this.
okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Boolean bridges already have int, what is its length, whether it's nullable or not. So it is not null. This column is not null. This can be null. So if we get this structure, we'll be creating. I mean, we'll be creating the scripts like this, and we'll be updating.
Okay.
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 Anything else? Shall I
Thank you.
proceed?
Yeah.
Okay. So now my fact structure, NanoMart is ready. Since this is a heart, now we'll be go on creating our measures, dimensions. Then after creating our measures and dimensions, then we'll start creating the reports. But for creating the reports, we need data to flow here. Okay, but is it? It will be fine without data. We can create measures and dimensions. That is fine. That will be fine. So since we have no data loaded to our master tables and to my fact table, I mean to my transaction table, it's okay. But still, we can create our measures and dimensions. Now, first we'll go and create our measures on this master tables. So if I go to the launch pad, something called dimensions. In Analytical App Designer options, we have dimension list. So we'll get select an app, my software training. We will select the mart, master mart. So all the marts are available. Sorry, all the master tables are available in the master mart. Hence, we'll create all the master dimensions in our master mart. So if you can see here, there are some dimensions which are already predefined, called time, month, week, day. Do you remember I told that NB dating table is created by default. So these are the dimensions from that NB dating table. Okay. So we'll go and create our new dimensions for our master tables. So I will select create new. Okay. These are my master tables. Okay. Okay. So I'll go and select some. I'll create some dimension on the breach reasons. Okay. Which dimension you want me to create? Any dimension, like you want me to create reason name or reason code or reason sequence or reason description?
Reason description. Yeah.
Okay. So this is my column attribute. So I'll just come down and I'll just click reason description. We'll get in a level design. We'll get here. Or if we want to go drill down, like for example, as I told you on that day, geography will be having country, state, district, and under that we'll be having any talukas, cities like that. At the dashboard level, when we are using the dashboard, if you want to drill, if we want to go through the reports, we can have a drill option. For example, we'll have reason description, or we can include breach reason sequence. So at topmost level, it will be breach reason description. Then if you click on the any breach reason description, then it will go to the breach reason sequence. If you add few more levels for it, what is the breach reason for, we can add it. These are the multi-level dimensions. If you want to go drill through, if you want to go depth inside of that, we can do it. Right now we can delete or we can add. Okay, we can add two levels for this dimension. Breach reason description will be our topmost. Then breach reason for will be the drill down, getting to it. So I'll be giving name for this. Description. And I will use enable drill actions. Whether we want to do any drill actions on this measure, I will tell you what are those drill actions whenever we create a dashboard. So we will enable drill actions. So if you don't want to do any drill action on this dimension, we can disable it. If you want to have any drill action, then we will enable it. Then we will save. So like this, we'll be creating various dimensions. So breach status, let's select breach status table, or we'll select breach status name. Okay. Or if you want another level breach status code, we'll select breach status code as another level. Topmost level will be the breach status code. So breach enable the drill actions. Here we can give filter to the dimension as well. Think that can you tell any breach status value, Shipra?
Yeah. It could be reviewed, or so it can be pending review, reviewed.
What I will do, I can apply the filter for this dimension. If you can see apply filter, I'll go and select. I'll select the table which is my breach status. Okay. So you're telling breach status name will be the reviewed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it will be given within the same is equal to within single quotes review. Okay. So this dimension has a filter which is reviewed. So this is the reviewed breach status. This dimension will be the reviewed breach status. So this will be the filter which we have given to this. We can use the filter if you want. For example, if they want to see for Karnataka or for any companies, Then we can go and say in the company master, we can go and select company name is equal to HDFC. Then this dimension will be only for HDFC. Or if you want to go at the states level, if you have the geography, state name Karnataka, state name Delhi, like this. Now this dimension will be only for reviewed breach status. I'm just showing you that we can apply filter also at that dimension level. Okay. Any doubts, Ajinkya?
In this filter, you have marked it as reviewed, but
Review.
okay.
Hmm.
Will we have options like if this is a condition, then review? If this does not fulfill, then some other condition. How to write that?
No, then no need to give. No need to give the filter.
Hmm?
I just no need to give the filter. I just showed you that we can create a dimension for particular value as well. Now it will have all the breach status. Now it will have all the breach status names. Since
Okay.
I didn't give any filter, I just told you that we can apply filter also to the dimensions.
Okay. Okay.
Now I am not giving any filter. I just showed you that how to apply that. I will say it breach status. Similarly, we'll create few more dimensions like breach type name. Okay, enabled relaxation. See, we can change the name also over here. So this is my column name. We can change the name also. So if you go to the edit option here, we can type whatever. Like we'll give breach name, or we can type breach name or whatever. Just showing an option that we can edit the. I mean, we can edit the dimension name as well. Level name, breach type name. So breach type enabled actions. Save. Similarly, we create a few more. We'll just see what all dimensions have been, what all the master marks have been linked to the table, fact table. Based on that, we'll create the dimensions. Nanomart, breach fact mart. So I have fund houses. Okay, I'll create fund house. SCH fund house. So what all columns we have? Reporting name, house ID, address line 1, city. So we have country also over here. Okay, approved by. Okay, we'll take fund house name as first level, fund house code as second level, and if you want, if you add fund house ID also as a third level. Okay, fund house. Enable relaxation. Save. We have rule parameters which we have linked to the fact. So we create dimension on rule parameter table as well. Selecting here, I'll get the list of columns available on the left side. So rule parameter name, or we can add if you want rule parameter. We'll add rule parameter type. Meter type. Enable relaxations. Save. So let's have these 5 dimensions. Later on, we can go and add if required. Okay. Just for training purpose, we'll just add these 5 dimensions. Okay. Now we'll go and create the metrics. What all metrics we want to see? For example, number of companies that have reached. Like Shipper, you can only tell the I mean, you can only tell me what all the requirements you want. Based on that, we'll create the measures. So we'll go to the measure screen. Again, we'll select the breach fact mart. As I told you, measures will be created on the fact mart, which is a transactional fact mart, which has been linked with all the master tables. So I will create here. So Tell me what exact metric you want to see based on this fact table. You want to see
Mm,
you want to see number of users breached. Okay, we'll take number of users that are breached.
anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
number of we are giving the name number of users breached. So what is my column name? User breach ID. So on that table, they explain you simple or computed. Simple is nothing but we'll be selecting from the table. Computed is nothing but we'll be creating a measure using 2-3 measures. For example, if you want to add some 2 measures, you can add. If you want to divide or multiply, or if you want to do any operation using 2 or 3 measures, then we'll use computed measure. Now we'll be using the simple measure. Number of breezes used. We'll be selecting which column. So, what is my table name? Okay. We'll select user breach ID. User breach ID. Now it depends. It's an int. Now, it depends on the data, whether it's a count or count distinct. In case for since now, uh, if the data is storing on the daily basis, then the same user ID will be repeating on daily basis, correct? Or if it's just a one-time data, then we can give count. Or if the data is repeating, depends on how the data is in the transaction table, how the data is. If the same user is breached today or tomorrow, whatever, then we'll use count distinct there. Okay. So number of users breached, we are selecting user breach ID and we are in count distinct, count of those users. I'm saving it. So measure got created. Okay, breach days. I'll create breach days as a measure. Number of breach days. Again, it will be simple. Build expression. I'll be selecting the portfolio breach days. So by default, it will be some breach days. You are calculating the breach days. So obviously, in your table, it will be days. It will be an integer field. Hence, we'll select the sum. Or if you want to calculate average of the breach days, we can select average. Or if you want to select maximum of breach days, we can select maximum. Now, since we have to know the number of breach days, so we'll be keeping aggregation as sum and save. So we can create measures for certain. Here also we can have the filter. For example, I want to see number of users breached for particular fund houses. For example, I'll create now number of users. Can you tell me any fund house, Shikra?
Mm, you want the name of the fund house?
I don't think so. We have name. We have ID. One. Fund house ID is linked with fund house ID. Yes. Any fund house. Yes. Fund house ID or fund house name.
Um, Fund house. I
You can
mean,
tell
for
fund
now
house
you can
name.
use. Okay, so you can use sandbox fund house.
Sorry.
Sandbox. It's
And
sandbox.
box,
BOX.
sandbox, BOX. Okay. So now we are we are creating the measure for particular fund house. Okay. For like the number of users breached for sandbox. Build expression. Again, my column will be user breach ID. Again, my expression will be count distinct of number of users. Now we are giving the filter here. Okay. So what we are giving, we have fund house ID. Okay. For sandbox, what is a fund house ID? I'm selecting the column fund house ID. Can you tell me the fund house ID of sandbox?
The actual ID you would want to know?
Anything. Okay, I'll give some random number. 4, 5, 6. Okay, like it's an integer. 5, 5, 7, 8. Okay. So now I'm giving a filter. So now this is a measure, that is number of users reached for sandbox fund house. So I've in the filter condition I've given sandbox ka fund house ID. Okay. So I'm just showing you that we can create the measures based on certain filters as well. Based on filters as well. So saving it. Like this, we can create still so many measures. Like we'll select breach market value. Okay. Breach market value. And the aggregation as or if you want to know average, we'll keep it as average breach market value. ABC. So I have created 4 measures or some 5 dimensions. Now reports. Reports either it can be of use. Reports can be either it can only be a measure like indicator. For example, if you want to know average breach market value, you can just use a measure average breach market value by selecting the indicator. Reports will be obviously it's a combination of measures and dimensions. Like if you want to know average breach market value by fund houses, we can create that analytics. But right now, since we don't have data, so we cannot create any analytic or report now. We can create it, but it will show there is no data available. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, Kiran.
So Ajit, I will do one thing. Since I have that demo setup I think that demo setup had a data IDs. I'll do one thing. I'll take the same data and I will import you. Okay? It will take some time. I'll just do here only. Okay? First, we'll be loading the data to our master tables because there is one constraint in SQL. If you try to load the data to a transaction database for your transaction fact table without having the data in your master tables, then it will throw an error. It will throw a conflict error. So whatever masters which has a value, it should have same value should be available in your transaction fact table. Think that from company perspective, uh, you don't have HDFC in your company master list. But if you're trying to insert the data to your transactional fact table in your star schema, in your NanoMart, if you try to insert HDFC company star records, it will throw an error. Conflict error, there is foreign key constraint. This is all SQL terms. Foreign key constraint, it will show like that. So whatever the data which is available in your transaction fact table should have the masters which are already available in our master table. So first I will load the master tables. my front house. Okay. I exported front house, breach types. I'm just fetching the data from my database. God, there is no data. Sorry, there is no transaction data. Uh, I got all the masters for today. Shipa, can you help me in getting this some sample data for these columns? I mean by tomorrow, so that we can load our fact table also.
You want, but from where we will give you data? We will give you data in a script and you will upload it in your database.
Huh. If you can give your data in Excel or just for training purpose, if we get this data, at least then our transaction table will have data. Then we can go and create the reports and dashboard and all. Now I got since I had no data in my demo setup. I didn't have the data in my transaction database. Only the masters were loaded. Even I'll just see whether all we have all the masters which we have created 1 minute.
We cannot commit right now whether we'll be able to provide the data because we have a dependency on the development center for that.
Okay. Without data, we cannot create
You
any
don't have
report.
any, uh, it's not
In
an
demos,
issue. Yeah, it's not an issue right now if you don't have any data, but in your local environment somewhere where you can.
okay, I will do one thing. Uh,
If not today is fine, Monday, Tuesday, anytime. But
okay. You want these data? I mean, SS fund houses data, breach types data,
no, no, not
or shall
necessary. You can
okay,
give a demo from your local database
okay,
having that data. It's not an issue.
okay. Then I will do one thing, Jinkya. As I told you yesterday, I showed you some candidate training, right?
Hmm.
Is it okay if I create analytics or reports based on that? I will just brief you on the dimensions and measure what I will create. Is it fine? Is it okay just for training purpose?
Fine, fine.
Or if you want to use your data, then we require some sample data so that we can create your own reports based on your data.
नहीं ठीक है. You can use your sample data. We can correlate to that.
Fine then. Okay. I just give an overview of what is the training module. Okay.
Hmm.
So it's just a training of the candidates.
Hmm.
So I just took the example of my previous project. I was working for a National Skill Development Corporation, which was, I mean, Modi Skill Development Corporation, Modi Skill India.
Hmm.
So IBM was leading the project, and I was the head of that analytics team. NanoBI was a reporting tool for NSDC.
Hmm.
So I just took for training purpose. I just used that domain for training purpose. Okay. So it is all about training the candidates. Candidates are nothing but the people of the
Hmm.
country.
Hmm.
So they will candidates will apply for in their portal, Skill India portal. They will apply for the training under particular sectors. For example, if they are interested in agriculture, if they are interested in textiles, if they are interested in mining, if they are interested in
Hmm.
plumbing, like that.
Hmm.
Under various, depends on their interest, they will apply. Candidates will get registered to the batches, okay, and they'll go through the training. After training, they'll go through the assessment. I mean, they'll go for the test. After that, they'll go for the certification. Once they clear their exams or tests and all assessments, then they'll go for certification. After certification, they'll go to the placements. So what I have done here as a training part, I've just taken some candidates who have completed their training and who have passed their certification stage and the placement stage. So I've just used the table. This is my fact table. Training partner ID. I mean, who will that train? Who is the guy who that train? Is the training partner ID and caste category of the candidate's gender and the sector, state, district, candidate ID, training status. What is training status? What is the training status of the candidate? Whether it's still ongoing, whether is training is still ongoing, or is training is still how he has completed his training. Then placement status, whether he has placed or not, whether he is certified or not, and training end date. Okay, and I've used the dimensions like caste of the candidate,
Hello.
sec. Hello, am I audible?
I can hear you, Kiran.
Okay. So caste of the candidate, a sector, and under which sector the candidate is getting trained, and gender of the candidate, geography, where the training is going on, in which state and which district. I have linked geography as well, so that we can do the drill down across from state to district. And I've linked the NB dating. As I told you, right, NB dating table is used for any trend analytics, like comparison, or if you want to see any trends. So I've just linked NB dating table also for the training end date. So I just want to see how many candidates are trained way back in 1 year or in last 6 months. This is the reason I've linked NB dating table to this fact table. So if you can see here from training summary fact table, training date have linked to the day date. So this linkage is very easy to link the NB dating. If you come down on the mart, there is something called time series. Okay. In time series, by default, it will be no. What we have to do, we have to select yes. I think Vinod showed you 2 days back, and we can select the fiscal year or calendar year. Then we'll get the fact table, and we'll get the list of the columns which are in date format. Here I have only one date, which is training end date as a one date column in my fact table. Hence, I'm getting only one date column, and I've already saved it. So if we save here, automatically NB dating will be linked to this fact table. No need to write any script here. If you remember, in fact script, we have written script to linkage, correct? We have written the scripts to link the master tables to my fact columns, fact table columns, right? But in case of NB dating, it is not required. We directly go to the time series option. By default, it will be no. We'll select yes. We'll select either calendar or fiscal year. We'll select which table, and we select which column. Here I have training ended. Think that we have placement status of the candidates. Placement status will be either yes or no. Whether that candidate has been placed or yes or no, will get a value yes or no. What in case I have placed date, placement date? If I have placement date, then I can go and select placement date will be available here. Then I can go and select placement date and I can do save. So here I just showed you that how to link the NB date. So this is my fact structure of my the demo setup, like of the candidates training. So I've created certain dimensions, like I'll just show you. I have created the dimensions like caste, gender, geography. So if you look into geography, my first level is state, second level is district. In case if I had taluks or city, I would have included taluk or city. Or in case if it in case in international countries, then my top level will be country, then state, then district or city, whatever. Okay, and then enable the drill action. Okay, and I told you sectors: plumbing sector, agriculture sector, gold sector, right? Mining sector. So this is my sector. Is a dimension. Gender is my dimension. Geography is my dimension. Caste is my dimension.
Okay,
Then
can we just open sector for a minute? I want to just see how
you
put
want
it.
to see the value. Okay, you want to see
No,
the
no, no.
value, or you? Okay,
Dimension,
okay, okay,
dimension.
okay. I've selected sector. Okay, I've selected here broad economic sector table. I've selected the master table as broad economic sector. Since I had only one column, I just clicked it. So it will be on the level designer part. So I just went and edited broad economic sector. You can see from this table, I have selected this column as my dimension, broad economic sector.
No, but okay.
This is a dimension.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, I can change it. No, I think. Let me see. Let me try to change because I've already included in so many reports. I don't know whether it will be changed or not. See. Okay, got changed. So I've created certain measures on that transactional fact table. I'll just show you. See, I created number of candidates. Number of candidates will be count of candidate IDs. They'll be having candidate ID against each candidate. That is a unique. So I've selected count of candidate ID. Okay. And number of trained candidates. We have something called training status in the table. So the training status should be completed. Hence, number of candidates which are trained, their training status will be completed. So I'm keeping this in my filter condition. What in case if I want to give, okay, I'll give number of ongoing candidates. Ongoing candidates, I'll give training status as, in my filter condition, I'll give training status as ongoing. I will not replace, I'll just do save as. So ongoing candidates got created. And number of placed candidates. We have something called placement status. So And in my filter condition, I'm given placement status is equal to yes. So count of candidate ID where placement status is equal to yes. Okay, now I'll create another number of non-placed candidates or number of non-placed candidates or number of candidates. I'll give placement status as no here, method condition. So the candidates whose placement status is no are the candidates who are non-placed. Okay, I'll do save as. I'll create. I'm creating a new measure for it. Number of non-placed. Okay, and do you remember I was telling you something about simple and computed measure. Computed measure is nothing but we'll be creating one measure using the measures itself. Like if you want to add some two measures, if you want to subtract some measures, if you want to divide or multiply some measures, right? We'll be creating a computed measure like that. I have created one computed measure which is called placed percentage. So what is the formula for placed percentage? It will be number of placed candidates divided by number of trained candidates into 100. So here number of placed candidates is my measure. So I'll just show you again for creating the computed measure. I'll select the computed measure here. So if you go to the build expression, I'll get the list of measures. These are my measures which I've already created. Okay, I'll just remove it and I'll just show you again. Placed percentage. Placed percentage will be number of placed candidates divided by number of trained candidates into 100. So for the best practice, what we will do, if we are doing any count on the varchar field, on the string field, what we'll do, we'll just multiply that measure with 1.0. So anything which is multiplied with 1.0 will be anything. So every time if we are creating any measure on the varchar field, for example, candidate ID is my varchar field. Candidate name will be my string field. In case if we have created any measure on something like numeric, for example, number of candidates trained, so that will be a numeric, either it will be 1 2 3 4 whatever. In such case, in such measure, we did not to give 1.0. We did not to multiply with 1.0, since number of placed candidates and number of trained candidates are based on the candidate IDs, which is a varchar field. So in NanoBI, for best, it is a best practice of giving into 1.0. So anything into 1 will be anything. Hence, it doesn't matter. Okay. So I'm just giving number of placed candidates into 1.0, number of trained candidates into 1.0. Yes. So this will be by placed percentage. Placed percentage will be number of placed candidates divided by number of trained candidates into 100. And this is my computed measure. So what is computed measure? A measure that can be created using multiple measures. Or if you want to, or we'll do one thing, we'll create another computed measure. We'll see non-placed, we'll do non-placed candidates. So we'll select computed measure. So non-placed candidates means we'll select number of candidates minus number of placed candidates will give non-placed candidates, correct? Or number of trained candidates. Number of trained candidates. So trained candidates can be either placed or they might not be placed. So trained candidates minus placed candidates will give me the count of candidates who are not placed. Okay. So I just created a computed measure. Non-placed candidates. Computed measure, I selected trained candidates minus. I'm saving. So by default, aggregation will be sum. It will not show any options. Like this, I've created few more measures. Number of certified candidates. So number of candidate ID where certified status will equal to yes. Okay. If you want to create non-certified candidate means I'll be building expression tables, training summary fact. Here I have certified, where certified is equal to no. The candidate whose certified status is no, then those candidates are non-certified. Sorry, this is expression one, and I should select candidate ID here. Training summary fact. I am selecting the candidate ID. So it is the count of or count distinct of candidate ID. I'm selecting non-certified candidate, so I should give a filter condition. In fact table, certified against that candidate should be no, equal to within single quotes no. Certified status should be no for non-certified candidates. I'm just saving it now. Okay, now we'll go and create. Now my measures and dimensions are ready. Now we'll go and create the analytics, which are nothing but reports. I've already created so many reports. I think I've already created some 10 reports based on those measures and dimensions. I'll just recreate it. Okay. Is it fine for today, or shall we continue in the next section?
How much time will it take for creation of report?
See, since no, it's just a selection of measures and dimensions. But here I can show you. Here I have to show you the so many important features, options, and all.
अच्छा, ठीक है.
You
Till
see,
you want to
because I'll just show you one of the dashboard, which there I have to explain you so many options which are available. So if you see this dashboard, 1 minute.
Hello. Hello.
I think he's gone to get his charger or something.
अच्छा, ये कंटिन्यू करना है रिपोर्ट्स का कि मंडे को ट्यूसडे को रखते हैं? ये ट्यूसडे को रखना है.
Anything is good with me.
Hello.
अभी सिर्फ
Sorry.
हाँ.
Hello, Ajinkya. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Because of low battery, it got disconnected. So actually, I wanted to continue in the next section only because I want to show you 1 minute. Just show my screen.
Yeah, no problem. We were also discussing that. So what we can do is for the report and the dashboard, we can do a session on Tuesday again.
Tuesday. So if you can see here, I've done so many reports already using different charts or tabular report, which is a similar kind of Excel report.
Right now,
And
you cannot see your screen.
sorry. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Able to see my screen?
Hmm.
Okay. So this is the dashboard which I've already created based on that data, candidate trainings data. So these are my broad economic sectors, which are number of train, number of place. Like this, I've created their reports. So if you see, you can see the by geography. Right? I think yesterday also I gave just 2 days back. I just showed you as well. So if you drill down by state, if you drill down on state, you'll get by district. So for this, for creating this report, I need to explain so many options which
Okay.
are available. That's the reason I think
Yeah,
we should
yeah.
end,
No,
end it here.
no, no problem. We'll do it on Tuesday then.
Fine. Tuesday. Okay. So do you have any doubts in the what all we created in this session? You can ask
No,
me anything. I can.
no. Right now, I don't have any doubt. I may have some things related to dimension and measures. What you will be doing right now is I assume that you will be sending me that invite again. Sorry, the recordings again. I'll
Okay.
just go through it once, and if I have any queries, I'll raise it on Tuesday.
Fine, Ajinkya.
Okay.
Okay. So on Tuesday we'll be doing on this date only, right?
This time, fine.
I mean, sorry, this data,
Yeah, yeah,
candidate training data. Okay, then.
yeah, fine.
Fine, Ajinkya. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kiran.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.